Everyone, thanks for tuning in. We'll get going here in 5 minutes. See you all then. All right, let's do this. Thanks everybody for tuning in. So this is our normal morning live stream that we do every day. And we're just making it public today to give you a glimpse at what we do in case you're curious. And also to have some fun watching the market and potentially taking some trades together. So in the morning prep, what I do first is go over the whiteboard and run down pretty much. This ensures that I'm looking at everything. And it's almost like a checklist where, all right, I look at all the commodities, I look at SPY and all the major stocks and just write a little couple sentences. And that just ensures that I'm comparing everything to the broader market as a whole, looking at crypto and the MJ sector. And it's very similar to what Lori does in her prep as well. She is in the chat room here going through the commodities every morning, looking at everything under the sun. And essentially that ensures that we as live streamers are tapped into what the market is doing heading into the morning. And so I'm now going to go over some pre-market setups and things that we're looking at in different sectors. And then at 10 a.m. after the market opens, I answer questions and take ticker requests from ChartGuys members here in our Slack chat room. So as I'm taking ticker requests and communicating with people, it will be in that Slack room, if it sounds like I'm talking to myself. And we'll certainly be reading the YouTube comments as well. So appreciate all the likes and shares and interaction there as well. So starting it off, the futures chart, the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, they're both extremely similar on the daily chart, but how they are set up on the 4-hour chart is a little bit different. And if we look at this right now, this bounce is a potential daily bear flag. So I have been in an overall bearish mindset because we're in weekly and daily downtrends, and the bears have had significant control. Every time we get a bounce going, we essentially have a fundamental event knock the price back down, where it was Powell a couple Fridays ago and then CPI numbers. So we got the FOMC tomorrow, 2 p.m. And so the question is that going to happen again? Is this just a little weak bounce into the FOMC that's going to see another leg down and lower lows? So we're keeping an eye on price action leading up into the FOMC, but a patient trader is not really doing a whole lot pre-FOMC. It's the more aggressive traders that are looking to position for the FOMC or just looking to day trade today before the FOMC is a factor. But I'm approaching today saying, okay, these are daily bear flags, and the burden is on bulls to prove to me that these are not daily bear flags. And the only way they're going to do that is by breaking the highs of yesterday and seeing follow through. So the difference between the NASDAQ and the S&P 500 is right here, where the S&P 500 had a lower low and then it's bounced. So we're not in a 4-hour uptrend. If we are going to see a 4-hour uptrend, we have to hold the low of yesterday and break the highs of this morning. That would confirm a 4-hour uptrend. You can see the NASDAQ looks very similar on the daily, but the difference is we did confirm a 4-hour uptrend. We held support and then broke resistance yesterday. So slight difference between the two, and the NASDAQ was leading yesterday as a bit stronger than the S&P 500 on the bounce. And as we know, that's one of the key things that we watch for on a daily basis, because bulls have more confidence when the NASDAQ is leading up and bears have more confidence when the NASDAQ is leading down. Because if you look back historically over the last year or two of trading, you'll see that that has been the direction that we've been going in, and that's the correlation between the two and the relationship between the two in meaningful moves in both directions. So another couple of points that the bears have in their favor recently is the 10-year. Lori's been talking about the 10-year and its parabolic shooting move up here. And you can see the monthly bull flag is now confirming. These are the highest levels that we've seen since all the way back in 2011. So 11-year highs. And the weekly is just a stair step. So we had a period of consolidation, but over the last 2 months, it's been nothing but up. And you can see the magnitude of this move where we're not even testing daily EMA 12. We touched it, but just barely. So that shows an extremely strong move. If you're not even pulling back to test, I should say, EMA 12, that's extremely strong. So we know as long as this is going up and in breakout mode, essentially, it's a headwind for market bulls. The same way that the dollar is. The dollar is remaining strong as well. We had an inside bar bear break. Yesterday was a daily inside bar. It broke bear with zero follow through, and here we are testing the high of yesterday, which is keeping the dollar bulls very strong. We're just looking at 110.26 and 110.79 resistances, and if those levels break, then the dollar will be back at many year highs as well, even more than 11 years. We'll be looking back at almost 20-year highs. So these are two pieces of the puzzle that we look at on a daily basis to essentially tell us clues. And as long as there is strength in the dollar and the 10-year, it is a tally in favor of the bear column. And again, the way that I view the market, you can just have a bull column and a bear column and say, okay, what aspects of the market are bullish and what aspects are bearish, because you're always going to find, some indicators or some components that are saying different things. But these are two tallies in the bear column. And of course, the daily and weekly downtrend for the broader market is another big tally in the bear column. So with the dollar strength, we're seeing metals weakness. Gold is a potential daily bear flag. It's in a weekly and daily downtrend. I have zero interest in looking long gold as long as it is this week. Silver has a little bit of relative strength, but it's still struggling a bit as well. Bulls trying to hold daily EMA 12, and we would have to break 20.01 if we're going to confirm a daily trend change to the silver bulls. So I can say silver is positioned much better than gold, but silver bulls aren't going anywhere if the dollar keeps breaking out to higher highs. So I'm keeping an eye on silver if we see dollar weakness, but in the absence of dollar weakness, I have zero interest looking bullish metals. The miners had a daily bounce going yesterday and a strong close, but we're watching the hourly uptrend. And this is the case for the vast majority of individual names. I'll go back to SPY and QQQ and what we're watching on the morning in just a moment. But individual sectors, individual names, SPY and QQQ, they all have hourly uptrends from Friday into yesterday and now into this morning. And so we have conflicting trends in the sense that we've got an hourly uptrend, but a daily downtrend. So which is most important? Well, that depends if you're a short-term trader, if you're looking a little bit further out. So an aggressive bull is looking for hourly higher lows to continue and looking for a bullish entry on the morning. And so just to go to the example of SPY, if I'm an aggressive bull, I'm watching for an hourly higher low on SPY this morning, anything above 384.67, or I can use 383.90. Those are two support levels that were established yesterday on the move up. If those levels hold, the hourly uptrend is intact still. If those levels are lost, the probabilities of a daily bear flag increases significantly. If I'm a bear on the morning, I want to see a little pop first thing, and I want to then short based off of highs of yesterday. And again, this goes for a ton of individual names and sectors that are all in very similar setups. A bear wants to play off of the highs of yesterday and hope for an inability to break that resistance, and then a loss of the hourly uptrends to continue shaping up the potential daily bear flags. So essentially to start today, it's all about, can bulls maintain the hourly uptrend through the morning? And our midday supports from yesterday are the key support levels that we are watching to help us answer that question. And so I'm also watching our major sectors, XLF, the financial sector, XLV, healthcare, and QQQ and SPY. Do all of them lose hourly supports? Do only some of them lose hourly supports and others hold it? That's going to help us with conviction as well. If everybody loses hourly supports, bears are much more confident. If only two of our major sectors lose hourly supports and the other two hold them, then we have less confidence in the bears and it's more of a choppy market environment. So the most clarity, and when you have your trending days, it's when you see all of those major sectors, and I choose those sectors because of their weight in the S&P 500, but the trending conviction days are when all of those sectors are doing the same things, and ideally at the same time. They're all at the high of the day at the same time, or all at the low of the day at the same time. So keeping a close eye on how those sectors are interacting with their individual supports once the bell rings. First 15 minutes of the morning, that's pretty much all I'm watching. How are these major sectors trading compared to each other and compared to levels from yesterday? So back to the miners, can GDX hold 23.98 to keep the hourly uptrend going, or is that level lost and the hourly uptrend lost? And if that hourly uptrend is lost, again, the probabilities of a daily lower high being set will increase and the daily downtrend will continue, because anything under 25.71 for these miners is just a daily lower high. Oil. So oil bulls played defense yesterday and had a pretty significant bounce off of the low, just above 80.89. We don't have a convincing 4-hour uptrend yet. You can see the bulls are struggling a bit with short-term resistance, 86.18. We topped out right at that level. And so bulls need to clear 86.18 for the daily bounce to be convincingly underway. But really, all I care about oil right now is that low that the bulls are attempting to defend and our resistance up at 89.63. Because we can easily trade within this tightening range for a while. If we see a little bounce follow through, but set a lower high compared to 89.63, and then we pull back and look for another little higher low, we could tighten up a bit. We'll see what the inventory report does tomorrow, but we know the burden is on bulls here as we are near our lows. Just some initial defense from the bulls yesterday. Natural gas, 4-hour bounce yesterday, but no trend change. You can see it's just grinding from EMA 12 resistance, this red line here. We know that if this bounce is going to have any follow through, we must confirm the 4-hour trend change. Same thing as the S&P 500. Again, the S&P 500, if this bounce is going to see any follow through, we have to confirm a 4-hour trend change, which has not happened yet. So natural gas and S&P 500 are similar in that regard. But overall, we had a bear break of multiple daily support levels on natural gas, and we did begin monthly consolidation. We broke the low of last month, so we are in downtrends on most time frames, on most short-term time frames. We're in an uptrend on the monthly time frame. But just going to be looking for a daily lower high to be the result of the next bounce. Anything under 925. And we'll see if the bulls are able to confirm a 4-hour trend change or not. If they confirm the 4-hour trend change, we zoom out to the daily and patiently watch for that lower high. If we do not confirm the 4-hour trend change to bulls, then bears keep full control. Bitcoin, same deal on the 4-hour. Nice bounce yesterday. You can see it's doing the same thing as the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, still very correlated there. So nice bounce yesterday with the market, but we have not confirmed a 4-hour trend change. So we have to hold 18.2 and break 19.7 thousand to confirm a 4-hour uptrend. If we do not do that, the bulls don't prove a thing. It's just an oversold bounce setting a lower high. So there are aggressive bulls out there that are scouting Bitcoin and altcoins for a 4-hour high or low, but not me. And that's just because it's not a high probability trade in my opinion. We can absolutely form a 4-hour high or low, but I'm sticking with the longer term trends, and I don't care about missing a bottom. I've said it many times, where I'm not going to continuously try and trade bullish while we're in weekly and daily downtrends until bulls prove something to me. And the first step to proving something would be confirming a 4-hour uptrend. So that's the market rundown. And that's a lot, right? There's a lot of things we can be looking at the market, and we don't want to get overwhelmed. So it's important as individuals to narrow down our focus. And I know for me personally, one of the major places that I'm looking this morning, aside from all the major sectors, is I'm watching the biotech sector very closely because I do still have a small swing position from my bearish entry at the end of the day yesterday. And I talked about that trade in the end of the day broader market video on the YouTube channel yesterday. But essentially, I'm watching to see when I'm going to close out the remainder of that position because the XBI bulls are going to attempt an hourly trend change, which we have not seen yet. So if bulls can hold 80.35 and break 82.81, that confirms an hourly uptrend. And I'll probably just keep it simple, where I'll just exit if 82.81 breaks, because if that level does not break, bulls don't prove a thing. If that level does break, then we have an hourly uptrend and the daily bounce is underway. And with how I grabbed that position yesterday and took some profit, it pretty much would be break even on that trade if I stop out on a new high there. So I'll probably just stick that stop loss if that level breaks. But again, the approach to the morning is aggressive bulls scouting hourly higher lows, aggressive bears scouting bearish entries off of high of yesterday resistances. And I'm finding more and more that my trade results are much better between 10:15 a.m. to noon than they are from 9:30 to 10:15. The only time that I'm going to be looking to make trades first thing in the morning is if there was some kind of massive news on an individual name or sector where you know there's going to be follow through, or if it's a top fish or bottom fish. And that's what I did yesterday as well. I stopped out of a top fish on CCJ. We'll look at CCJ and uranium in just a minute. But I stopped out on that top fish, and it was just a very small loss. The reason I will take a top fish or bottom fish first thing in the morning is if I'm wrong, which happens often on those trade styles, then it's a very small loss, 25% of a day loser, maybe a third of a day loser, and that allows me to keep trading on the morning, whereas if my first trade of the day is a 75% day loser or a whole day loser, then that means I'm done. So I want to keep myself in the game, so the first trade that I take has to have good risk reward, and if I stop out, that risk needs to be small enough where, I don't give myself a one and done attempt on the day. So if I'm trading the first 20 minutes of the day, it's a top fish or a bottom fish with a key level from usually the previous day. And if not, I'm just patiently waiting for patterns to develop themselves. Maybe it's bulls control all morning and I'm scouting a 15-minute higher low at 10:45 a.m. Maybe it's bears control all morning and I'm scouting a 15-minute lower high entry at 11:30 a.m. Those are the kinds of things that I patiently wait for rather than jumping into something first thing. So, CCJ, aggressive bulls, are scouting an hourly high or low. We had a nice bounce yesterday, but we did not change the hourly trend. And again, what confuses traders very often, newer traders, is when you are looking for different things on different time frames. And very rarely, not very rarely, rarely, you will be able to say, I'm bullish on every single time frame. And it happens when we're in blue sky breakout, you're bullish on every time frame. When we are in monthly, weekly, daily downtrends, you're bearish on every time frame. But CCJ here, I am looking for a weekly high or low, but I'm well aware that we are currently in a daily and hourly downtrend. So the bears have short-term control and the bulls have longer-term control. So the confliction of those different time frames and different trends is where a lot of newer traders get lost. So it's important to distinguish and to be able to mentally separate those two different things. So yes, CCJ is in a daily downtrend, but knowing that I'm scouting a weekly high or low, I'm keeping an eye out for a potential bullish entry. So if CCJ bulls can hold the low of yesterday this morning, 27.10, and if they can then break the high of yesterday up at 28.53, and again, these names in this sector has significant volatility often. But if we get that, if the morning high or low forms, then we break the high of yesterday, we have a confirmed hourly uptrend and a daily bounce underway. And we know uranium over the last month has been showing us a lot of relative strength. The last week or so, that has been shifting a little bit and it's cooled off that relative strength. But if we're talking bigger picture, the last few months of trading, uranium is definitely a relative bull. So keeping that in mind as well, if I am going to be looking bullish in this market, I would rather be looking at names that have that relative strength, like CCJ and uranium, or like Tesla and EV names. So Tesla has a very strong daily chart. And if you look at Tesla divided by QQQ, which is just a ratio of relative strength and weakness, this is the strongest Tesla has ever been relative to the NASDAQ. That's noteworthy in a weak market. So Tesla is up near its recent highs. There are not many names that are testing the highest levels that we've seen in the last bunch of months, but Tesla is one of them. And so if I do want to be looking bullish, I want to be looking bullish on the stronger names. Tesla needs to hold 304.92 for the bulls to keep full short-term control. Because if 304.92 breaks this morning, that's an hourly downtrend confirming and a loss of short-term momentum. A simple statement would be, if 304.92 holds through the morning, the bulls keep complete control of the hourly uptrend. So that's my benchmark short-term level to determine, are Tesla bulls keeping strong or are they fading? So the ideal scenario for the bulls is hold 304.92 and break 309.84. And that would keep the hourly uptrend going and have us looking at 314.67 resistance, the highest level that we've seen in the last few weeks. Other EV names are showing similar signs of strength. RIVN is trying to form a daily higher low off EMA 12. Hourly trend change back to the bulls still needed here as well. We must hold 37.01 on the morning and break 38.35. Otherwise, the bears keep control of the hourly downtrend and there will be no sign of the daily higher low if the hourly downtrend remains intact. NIO is another name that had a big bull move post earnings. Big pullback as well. We're definitely seeing a lot of volatility on NIO. This 2-day drop here was double-digit percentage. And so the bulls here have an hourly uptrend, little bull flag from yesterday. But again, the bulls must maintain 2044 because if 2044 is lost, the hourly uptrend is lost and that bounce momentum is then fading. So it's all about those hourly supports. As I mentioned, the NASDAQ bulls want to continue to lead the way. When they are leading the way, the bulls have a little bit more confidence. So I'm watching QQQ very closely because these hourly supports are going to be in play right out of the gate. So if I am an aggressive bull, I'm trying to make a play off of either 288 or 286.85 supports. And if I am an aggressive bear, I want to see a little morning bounce to play off the high of yesterday resistance and then hoping we roll over into weakness from there to have a better risk reward entry. So simple statement is, if none of our major sectors break highs of yesterday, and this is Fidelity, this is the Fidelity screen that I look at throughout the day, but if none of our major sectors are breaking their highs of yesterday, then that bounce is going to fade very quickly. And we see right now, pre-market, none of our major names, SPY, XLF, XLV, QQQ, IWM, nobody's near their high of yesterday. So there's going to be a lot of work for these bulls to try and shift momentum. The burden has been on bulls for the last few weeks, and it's certainly on the bulls here first thing this morning. We pretty much need to see a 5-minute uptrend first thing and full bull control through the morning if we're going to make our way to try and even test high of yesterday resistance. QQQ is almost 1% away from the high of yesterday right now, as is SPY. So bears are liking the start, just knowing, well, we're starting with a lower open, and even if SPY and QQQ shoot up 0.5%, 0.8% on the morning, it's still not breaking the high of yesterday. So that's giving the bears some space to work with. As far as looking at some of our individual tech names, so Apple was a stronger lead bull yesterday. Keep an eye on Apple. If bears are going to start to continue to gain confidence, Apple weakening would do so. Right now, from yesterday into today, I'm calling Apple back to being captain of the bull team. And if Apple starts to lose supports and starts to weaken, it's going to be joining Team Bear. It's going to be switching sides. So Apple key level for me on the morning is 152.60. If 152.60 holds, the Apple bulls keep full short-term control, which would increase probabilities that QQQ can maintain its hourly supports from yesterday as well. But if Apple loses this level, QQQ bulls are in trouble because we will very quickly be fading back towards the low of yesterday, in my opinion. So I'm watching captain of Team Bull very closely to see if it's going to remain captain Team Bull or if it's going to start fading and join Team Bear. That's going to be another significant aspect of this morning as I observe all of our major sectors and how we start trading the day. Aside from Apple, Amazon. So Amazon hourly support also still holding. I'm going off 122.97 as the must-hold level for me. And Amazon and Apple are going to test their highs of yesterday, it looks like, fairly early on the morning. Apple 154.56, that's still $1 away. Amazon high of yesterday, 124.71 is closer in play. So Amazon breaking its high of yesterday would be another sign. Again, just there's so many little clues that we're looking for, but if Amazon breaks its high of yesterday, that increases probabilities that QQQ can hold hourly support and keep this hourly uptrend going. Some of the weaker tech names recently, it's been Meta and Google. So Meta on the daily time frame, we got a ton of space for a daily lower high to be the result of the next bounce. Meta has a double top to the penny with the high of Friday. So 148.58 is the clear resistance level from the last 2 days. Hourly support, 145.43. Again, you can see the vast majority of individual names have the same setup in the sense that we've got midday supports from yesterday that are key on the hourly, and we're seeing lower opens. So everybody's watching. Can we hold the hourly support on the morning and shift this pre-market weakness to try and head back to the highs of yesterday? If not, bears remain very confident heading into the FOMC. Google has been another weaker name. Meta and Google often trade hand in hand. We broke the high of Friday, but only by 20 cents. So Meta and Google sticking bearish. And again, if you compare, let's say Apple divided by QQQ on the daily time frame, we can see overall relative strength the last couple months. And you compare Meta to QQQ over the last couple of months, overall relative weakness. And so again, utilize these correlation charts to help us determine who lead bulls and who lead bears are if it's not obvious to you just by looking at their charts individually. Semiconductors, NVDA, started to see some relative strength on Friday into yesterday. But same thing as everybody else. If we lose hourly support of 131.41, which is in play this morning, we then confirm an hourly downtrend and potentially very quickly set a new daily lower high in this prolonged daily downtrend. And SMH, the ETF for the semiconductors, is doing pretty much the same thing. So hourly support tests are coming first thing this morning. And it's completely different. You know, if we're in weekly and daily uptrends right now in the broader market, I'm looking for bull entries in the first half hour of trading this morning, playing off hourly supports, because that's how you make money in trading, is in terms of, you know, trading with the trend. Okay, we're in daily and weekly uptrends, and we've got an hourly support test first thing, and I'm looking for those trends to see continuation. And because we are in daily and weekly downtrends, I do not have interest playing bullish off these hourly supports. It doesn't mean they won't hold. It just means in terms of probabilities, it would be much more of a probable, favorable trade if we were in uptrends playing off hourly supports versus being in downtrends playing off hourly supports. And that's an important distinction and shift to make, because all the last few years, I made a lot of money trading bullish with trends, doing very well with that trading style. And if I keep doing that in this market environment, I'm just going to slowly continue to give back profits. So it's important to recognize the shift in those trends and the shift in the market environment, and to shift my trading style with that, which is why I personally am preferring scouting hourly lower highs and daily lower highs in this market environment until it shifts back to a bullish market environment again. Doesn't mean I won't trade bullish, just like yesterday. I mean, yesterday when I was doing this morning rundown and the morning live stream, I had zero idea that I would trade the biotech sector bullish. Even through the morning, it was extremely weak. It was the weakest sector out there. And still, zero idea, 9 a.m., 10 a.m., 11 a.m., no interest in the biotech sector. It was just scrolling through the tight pattern and seeing where the broader market was positioned at that point in time that made that trade stand out to me. And again, it's in that end of the day video yesterday. I go over it a bit more in depth. But just an example where, you know, oftentimes you can do a whole bunch of prep pre-market and get ready for the trade, and maybe it comes to you and it fails, or maybe it doesn't come to you in the way that you want it to. But continuing to, when you have comfort in markets, continue to just scan around and say, well, I know that pattern and I'm comfortable with that pattern, so I'm going to take that trade. And a ton of my trades go that way, where, you know, I wasn't planning on it pre-market in my prep, but it presented itself in terms of being a solid risk-reward trade. And the most notable aspect for me is, you know, what's the broader market doing at that point in time? So we got a couple minutes here heading into the open. Fresh pre-market low here on QQQ. Checking with SPY. Is SPY doing the exact same thing? Yep, they're both very weak together. So hourly supports in play first thing this morning. Looks like I'm going to let LABD ride at least for a bit here. Best case for the bears would be all of our major sectors losing hourly support, with nothing breaking highs of yesterday. And best case for bulls, Amazon's now a bit further away from its high. But best case for, well, there goes Amazon. No more bullish standing out there. So that shows you how quickly things can change. That's 3 minutes of a 5-minute candle significantly changing the positioning of the pre-market setup, where 3 minutes ago, Amazon was real close to testing high of yesterday first thing, and now it looks just like everybody else. So that's a notable drop there. So heading into the open, I'm going to be talking about XLF, XLV, QQQ a lot in the open, and pointing out who's relatively stronger, relatively weaker. We got a 5-minute downtrend from pre-market, so simple statement, QQQ, if we do not break 289.27, the 5-minute downtrend remains intact. I can see right now out of the gate, Meta is down more than other tech names, so seeing that relative weakness remain. Looks like XBI had a very quick flash down to double bottom at the low of yesterday. Nope, I take that back. Low of yesterday was 80.35. We dropped down to 81.30. So again, watching to see, can CCJ, can XBI, can these names hold an hourly higher low compared to the low of yesterday. Right now, the financial sector and QQQ are a bit weaker than XLV, not by much though. But bulls are not proving much. Again, we're going to have to see a complete 180 turnaround from this momentum, or bears are going to keep their control. Notable that QQQ just hit a new low of the day and XBI is at the high of the day. So some relative strength in the biotech sector, trying to stand out. XBI would be the first sector to go green on my screen if it can keep that up. XLF continuing to remain weak. So a whole bunch of red out there initially. So again, I look at XBI and I say, bulls are positioned well if SPY and QQQ can find a bottom here. XBI is attempting to confirm the hourly trend change by breaking high of yesterday with a very strong start. So low of today is attempting to be the hourly higher low. And if we break 82.81, we then have an hourly uptrend. So notable strength there. And again, I will exit that last of that little LABD if we do break that high of yesterday. First green name on my screen, aside from leveraged bearish ETFs. MSOS has a little bit of green, but doesn't mean much first thing. Often gives it back. So I'm likely to exit LABD here shortly. And so we'll be watching for higher lows on XBI now on the short-term time frame. So next time we consolidate, we'll watch for a 2-minute higher low. We got a lot of space for these bulls to work with. So again, it's just recognizing that bull correlation first thing. So if I am going to be looking bullish, XBI definitely has my attention. We got a bunch of space for higher lows on short-term time frames. So QQQ trying to get a bounce going, still a 5-minute downtrend pre-market. If we break the 5-minute lower highs, we'll start to create some space for the possibility of a 5-minute trend change to bulls. Tesla is flirting with green. We know it's a relative bull as well. It's positioned well for any QQQ strength. We're testing the high of yesterday, 309.84 right now. So clearly relative strength continuing, at least initially. We'll see if bears defend that high of yesterday. Number one reason that correlations will shift intraday is holds of key support or rejections from key resistance. So if Tesla bears significantly defend high of yesterday, the bull correlation that we're seeing initially can fade. So have to keep an eye out for that. Sooner bulls can break high of yesterday, the better for keeping that bull correlation. So QQQ pre-market, 5-minute lower high resistance was 289.27. We just rejected by that level, rejected from that level by 5 pennies. And both Tesla and XBI, initial bull strength, at the moment, they're pretty much double tops with the highs of yesterday. Apple is standing out as a lead tech bull now. How do I know? Because I'm looking just at percentages from yesterday. So Netflix down 1%, Amazon down 0.95%, Apple's down 0.3%. So it is showing me a small amount of relative strength. That's one way that I observe it superficially. just at a moment's glance, just comparing it to peers in its sector. So as I mentioned pre-market, Apple is captain of Team Bull, and it is still in an hourly uptrend. So it's going to have to be Apple staying strong to help QQQ try and break these 5-minute lower highs from pre-market. Healthcare sector has had a rough 2 days at this point. Yesterday, it was a big lead bear down. Low of yesterday, 124.46, still a bit of a ways away. So Apple has to see a new high of the day here if QQQ bulls have any hope of breaking these 5-minute lower highs from pre-market. Also keeping an eye out to see if all of our major sectors hit low of the day at the same time. If that happens, it's a big win for bears. Whenever that happens, we want to pay extra attention to that, as that's often a signal for trending days. QQQ low of the day test. Apple did not break that high. So now if Apple breaks its low of the day, 153.08, that would be a big win as far as shifting to Team Bear, but it's still holding on for bulls here. Its peers are just much weaker. Amazon's continuing to weaken. So there's QQQ, new low of the day, led down by Amazon. Apple's doing everything it can to try and hold against that weakness. But it's unable to withstand Google down at the lows, Amazon at the lows. So Tesla now with a much more convincing rejection from its high of yesterday. Double top, and now it's all about the low of today. If we break that low of today, that's a win for bears, at least in the short term. Apple's got to weaken if QQQ bears are going to get any notable follow-through. Again, it's the most important individual stock as far as its weight in SPY and QQQ, and it is still hanging around its high of the day. So pretty much Amazon and Apple are going in opposite directions on the morning so far. So XBI is looking for a 2-minute higher low. Pulling up the 2-minute time frame. EMA 12 support coming into play. Obviously, if the broader market keeps dropping, we're not going to form a 2-minute higher low, but after that initial strong start, we have a lot more space to work with above the low of today versus most names. This is Apple's 2-minute chart, high of the day test. Bears really want a break of 153.77 to see Team Bull Captain weaken. So at the moment, we've got XLF at the low of the day, QQQ at the low of the day, and XLV is right there. So we are seeing all major sectors at the lows at the same time here. Definitely a check mark for the bears. And as I've mentioned in broader market videos, if you find yourself trading counter trending days too much, that's an indication, that's a signal to potentially shut off the bull side for the day. Sometimes it won't work. Sometimes the bulls will show up eventually, but there's plenty of times where once that happens, bears control the majority of the day from there. It really is all on Apple's shoulders here. As far as the bull side of things. So looking at our sectors, hourly support levels from yesterday. XLF, hourly support 32.92 has broken. Only by a couple pennies, but it has broken. XLV testing its low of yesterday. 124.46 support is key. And QQQ, we've got a couple levels. One little level from yesterday broke, but 286.85 key hourly support as well. So we know that bulls, if they're going to prove anything to us, it's got to be Apple with a new high of the day, and it's got to be some of our sectors seeing a new high of today as well. Obviously, if we don't see a new high of today, it's going to be a bear morning. Netflix is shifting momentum for bulls. Netflix has had a lot of help from news recently, news and upgrades. So I would definitely put Netflix and Apple on the bull side of things, with most other names on the bear side of things. NVDA still holding hourly support, 131.41, but it's still in play. We're testing it. XBI giving back that pump. Low of the day test. So hard double top rejection with the high of yesterday. Let's check in on Bitcoin. See how it's responding to the market open. Pretty much doing the same thing, 5-minute downtrend. No sign of a 4-hour higher low being set. Same thing as the S&P 500. No sign of a 4-hour higher low being set. Apple and Netflix are in a race to see who can go green first, if anyone can. NIO with a hard drop. I would consider anything above the low of yesterday as an hourly higher low on NIO, so there is still a lot of space, 1975. So Netflix in the green. Bulls have controlled from the open on Netflix. We're looking at resistance high of yesterday. up at 245.25. Apple's trying to test its high of the day as well. So Apple high of the day, Netflix high of the day. Next level for Apple is high of yesterday, being tested 154.56, key level. It's just, with it being the lead bull general, the analogy in my mind right now is just a bunch of haggard, beat up soldiers retreating, and you've got the lead bull general doing his best to rally them, saying, no, no retreating, come on, we can do this. It is all Apple bulls trying to save things. QQQ 289.22 high of the day is back in play thanks to Apple. We'll see if it can break it and start to work on shifting this momentum. Apple broke the high of yesterday, though not convincingly. It's just showing you the power of Apple as an individual stock. It's pretty much, can Amazon bears offset Apple bulls? So a simple statement is, if Apple bulls keep this full control, then QQQ bears and peers are not going to get much follow through to the downside. Netflix is at high of yesterday, 245.25, just under it. Tesla rejected from high of yesterday first thing, but it is still holding hourly supports. So that's keeping high of yesterday in play. As long as that 304.92 level holds, hourly uptrend remains intact. Microsoft is another big tech name that's trying to help the bull side of things. Netflix through the high of yesterday with follow through. And at this point, Netflix is looking at its highest price in many months. We're looking up at resistance of 246.48 and then 252, which would be weekly uptrend continuation if 252 breaks. As I mentioned, bulls have been getting a lot of help in Netflix with news and upgrades. XLF is still weak near its low of the day. XLV is still weak, so it is QQQ. It's Apple trying to rally QQQ, and QQQ trying to rally SPY, but it's doing it on its own. Definitely needs help, and if Amazon stays weak, it's going to do a good bit to offset Apple's strength. Apple and Amazon are the two largest holdings in QQQ. You won't often see them going in opposite directions. So it's either Apple's going to join Team Bear or Amazon's going to join Team Bull is what we're now watching for in the short term. Bears would love QQQ to hit a new low of the day to try and squash this Apple bull rebellion. Going to take some ticker requests from Chart Guys members. XLV breaking low of yesterday. So Bears keeping full control there. 123.90 is a key level on XLV. That would be a break of weekly support. XLF has a lot of space above the low of yesterday, but it did lose its hourly supports. Might be interested in an XLF 5-minute lower high next bounce, scouting a bearish entry. Although that 5-minute RSI is real beat up. XLF is getting due for a short-term 5-minute bounce just to look for a lower high. So the Apple 5-minute higher low is key. If we lose 5-minute higher lows on Apple, it'll be showing signs of our lead bull weakening. RIVN. I'm actually going to do these on my other chart. So RIVN is a daily inside bar at the moment, still battling to try and hold EMA 12. 5-minute bounce underway. Anything under the high of the day is just a 5-minute lower high. The bulls must gain a 5-minute uptrend if the hourly higher low is going to be shaping up. So I'm watching 37.01 and 38.35 hourly levels is key. And we need a 5-minute uptrend to try and shape up the hourly trend change, to try and shape up a daily higher low. Daily inside bar as well. It's all about the low of yesterday, 628. Bulls need a 5-minute uptrend to try and shape up an hourly higher low compared to 628. At the moment, it's a potential 5-minute bear flag, weak bounce. Uranium name, comparing it to CCJ, same thing. Not much difference. So both names have to shape up a 5-minute trend change if there's going to be any hope of an hourly higher low compared to the lows of yesterday. Link USD 4-hour gave it all back, double bottom at $7, but definitely a weaker bounce on the 4-hour time frame, as most names have not given back the whole bounce at this point. If we don't break 740, the Bears keep full control of the 4-hour downtrend. You can see the key support 698 to 7. It's a quadruple bottom at this point. So that is an important base of support that is in play here. Bulls need a 15-minute trend change in their favor to have any confidence that this test can hold yet again. Apple keeping short-term uptrends. You could be watching Apple on the 2-minute as a guide. High of the day test. Still dragging QQQ up with it. QQQ trying to break that high of the day. So at this point, now the morning is shaped up a little bit here, 25 minutes into the day. I know the next trade that I'm going to be looking for is probably going to be a bearish entry versus highs of yesterday on some names. Because QQQ, just as an example, not necessarily that I'm going to choose QQQ, but we can turn around momentum here and bulls can see control and go up 0.5%, but we'll still be under that high of yesterday. So I'll be looking for names that have pulled back further from high of yesterday resistance so that even if we bounce through the morning and the bulls are able to salvage some short-term trend changes, that it will still be a lot of work to get through high of yesterday resistance. So Google's an example of that. Google's weaker here, and to get back to the high of yesterday, still over 1% away. So Apple is not joining Team Bear, but look at Amazon trying to join Team Bull. Amazon just bounced back to the high of the day. So if Amazon can gain a 5-minute uptrend, it will be joining Team Bull, and that will definitely help QQQ shift this momentum. CCL, 5-minute bounce. Anything under the high of the day is a 5-minute lower high. Bounce retracement is pretty significant, almost 50% here, a little more than 50%. So enough space on a bounce this size to be looking for a 5-minute trend change to try and shape up once we top out. Need that higher low and higher high. So a name with this kind of range, I watch for the potential of the 5-minute equilibrium on the morning. Daily chart still holding well for bulls overall. And battling resistance in the low $11, $11.38 being the most important midterm resistance here. But wide 5-minute range on the morning and scouting a 5-minute lower high to be the result of this bounce, at least initially. Tan the solar sector, 5-minute bear flag, still a weak bounce here. And we're weakening a bit. We topped out at this little quintuple top in the upper 88s. And the correlation has been shifting a bit since then. We had a bull correlation compared to the broader market very clearly. And then that started to shift on Thursday of last week. And so a break of 82.80 support would continue to shift and have us looking back down at 80.24 from there and increasing probabilities that this weekly bull flag attempt fails. ZIM. Weak bounce. Still an hourly. We had a big fast move first thing, but gave it all back. 5-minute tightening range. So low, high of the day, higher low, and now anything under the high of the day is a 5-minute lower high. But we're not doing much here for confidence of trend change and bounce follow through. Again, it's one of those moves where you see that big, strong start, great, but you got to form 5-minute uptrends and establish support and keep that control, just like Apple did. You can't just pop and give it all back. So tightening 5-minute range with the bulls having a lot of proving to do still if this daily bounce is going to get going. MRNA is a daily inside bar as well. We held the low of yesterday first thing. Solid bounce, but still no 5-minute uptrend since the bell rang, so we've got to hold the low of the day and break the high of the day to establish that 5-minute uptrend. If we lose 5-minute EMA 12, the retracement of the morning bull move will start to become significant and it will start to become an equilibrium. If we hold 5-minute EMA 12, that will keep bulls in control, keeping that consolidation healthy. Still a tug of war here. XBI, fresh low, so remaining weaker. Bull correlation the first couple minutes, reject from the high of yesterday, and a bear correlation since then. Again, the most common reason you will significantly shift correlations midday, in the middle of the trading day, is a key level holding. Tesla's making a nice recovery. Still needs a 5-minute uptrend. know I keep saying it, but this is all Apple for the bulls. ADA USD 4 hour trying to set a higher low. Need a 15-minute trend change back to the bulls for the first indication that a 4 hour higher low is shaping up. Still a clear 15-minute downtrend at this point. So need to change the 15-minute trend. Then we have a 4 hour higher low, and then we'll be all about EMA 12 resistance and 457 resistance. Turkeys are trying to come in the open door. KOLD. Testing the high of yesterday in 1390 as resistance. 5-minute uptrend. So bulls want to keep the 5-minute uptrend and break 1390 to keep the hourly uptrend. Well, we don't have an hourly uptrend. Well, that's a double bottom. You could say to keep the hourly uptrend going, just a penny difference there. So all about 1390 and the 5-minute uptrend. Atom USD breaking the low of yesterday is a red flag. Bulls would have hoped to have set a daily higher low. Still can set a daily higher low anything above 1322. It's just not going to be from as strong a point. 4 hour downtrend remains our guide. We had a big 4 hour bounce, higher low, fail the trend change, and bears have taken back over since then. So just watch these 4 hour lower highs. We know as long as 4 hour lower highs are forming, we are not forming a daily higher low. Also keep a close eye on Atom BTC, because if 7521 breaks, the daily uptrend is at risk of shifting notably for the first time in a couple months, which would be the potential first sign of relative strength shifting into relative weakness. Wing, daily consolidation overall, fairly healthy. No red flags, but still a clear hourly downtrend. Have to see an hourly uptrend confirmed for the daily higher low to be set. On the current bounce, anything under 136.57 is just an hourly lower high. QQQ bulls, another high of the day test as Apple keeps pushing the highs. Fairly similar to yesterday in the sense that QQQ is stronger than our other major sectors. XLV is our lead bear major sector. And Apple is a relative bull in the tech sector. But we got to see individual names shift momentum here, because Apple can't do this on its own. So we have to see other names join Apple. Can Amazon do so is the big question. Netflix gave back a good bit of that morning strength. Still going to be looking for a 5-minute higher low, but it is more retracement than bulls would like to see. An aggressive bear is going to watch for a 5-minute lower high to potentially form next bounce. So QQQ tightening up here. We should get a break to a high of the day or a low of the day within the next 15 minutes or so. Amazon trying to go green. So this is, again, just 20 minutes ago, we had Amazon lead tech bear, Apple lead tech bull. And it was a question, is Apple joining team bear or is Amazon joining team bull? And right now, Amazon is doing its best to join team bull. Still battling its high of the day. CCJ, uranium. So again, we had a 5-minute bounce. We did just, we will confirm the 5-minute trend change if we break 2782. Little battle at that level right now. So 2782 and 2805 are our resistances, but we're trying to shape up the hourly high or low here compared to 2710. Need a new high of the day for us to say the hourly high or low is set. Tesla heading up towards the high of the day. Aggressive bears looking for a bearish entry where anything under the high of the day, which is a double top with the high of yesterday, is just a 5-minute lower high and watching for a tightening 5-minute range to potentially form from here. QQQ, high of the day test. Amazon got its high. So now I look at the other sectors. All right, we got QQQ shifting, thanks to Apple and Amazon and some other names. So now can XLF and can XLV, can they shift and try and join Team Bull? They still have a ton of work to do. Have to see XLF confirm a 5-minute uptrend for it to start shifting. So QQQ new high of the day, now what? Well, now bears are hoping that high of yesterday resistance remains, where if we do not break 291.21, that it remains a daily inside bar. Currently, it's a bull break with no follow-through. I'd call it a double top still. NVDA has been slowly strengthening with its new high of the day. It did not lose hourly support, so NVDA is still an hourly uptrend. And looking at 134.63 high of yesterday, which is in play to try and see uptrend, hourly uptrend continuation. Any name that held hourly supports is certainly standing out stronger versus names that did not. Apple held, NVDA held, Tesla is still holding. GOOG also trying to shift momentum, have to break 102.37 to join the new high of the day club. And from there we look to the high of yesterday, but for now it's all about high of today resistance. Checking in on our other important clues. What's the dollar doing? Dollar pulling back, losing the 15-minute uptrend, hourly consolidation underway. Currently, I'd call it really a triple top with the high of the last 2 days. 110.26, double top with the high of Friday. But just looking for an hourly high or low. US 10-year, still an hourly stair step, has not started hourly consolidation yet. The VIX is an hourly stair step. So if I'm a bull, I want to see the VIX lose hourly stair step pattern, which is a higher low every candle. I want to see the 10-year lose it. I want to see QQQ continue leading for the bulls. But again, we're not seeing other sectors step up to help. So I'm not shifting my perspective bullish at this point. I still don't really have any interest in bullish entries. QQQ new high of the day, 0 follow through. Not a good sign for bulls. Apple 5-minute consolidation. We're going to watch the 5-minute higher lows there. Tesla bears got a nice 5-minute lower high. Potential for an equilibrium. Sweetie Pants wants a bone, but she's 18 minutes too early. QQQ heading back towards the low. Bears would love a new low of the day. Tesla approaching its low of the day. There's really nothing that can happen between now and FOMC that's going to make me bullish. If FOMC is a bullish reaction, then I will step back and reassess. But we've only got one trading day and 3.5 hours. If QQQ breaks the low of the day here, we'll probably see all major sectors at lows together again, as XLF and XLV are still hanging around near their lows. Apple is still a 5-minute uptrend. If the bears really want to gain some confidence, it would be Apple losing the 5-minute uptrend. XBI is trying for a little 2-minute inverse head and shoulders. So we rejected from the high yesterday in XBI, and now we're holding the low of yesterday. So daily inside bar tightening up. Bears are hoping for big enough pullbacks here to create space for 5-minute lower highs to be the result of next bounce. So for example, this Amazon hard drop, even if we hold the low of the day, if we bounce and fail the high of the day and then confirm a 5-minute downtrend, bears will regain control of Amazon in the short term. XLF is a 5-minute bear flag at the low of the day. So as far as trades that I will let's try that again. Trades that I will potentially scout midday. If we're talking high probability, so what is the probability that XLF is going to form a 15-minute lower high next bounce? And the answer for me is that's a high probability because the high of the day is 33.06, which is approaching 1% away. 15-minute EMA 12 resistance will be in play. Again, there's no sign of a 15-minute bounce at this point, but I know with the 15-minute RSI currently at 20 that we will very likely see a 15-minute bounce at some point, late morning or midday, and I can scout for a 15-minute lower high to be the result of that bounce. So that's a setup that I'll be keeping an eye out for. Biotech sector back to showing some relative strength. Big bull move here is creating space for a 5-minute higher low next consolidation to try and shape up a 5-minute trend change. I may end up exiting LABD next 5-minute consolidation. QQQ is chopping around. Why is QQQ choppy? Because we've got individual names in QQQ pulling in different directions. Our clear trending days, everybody's doing the same thing. That's not today. So again, being able to make observations like that, you might say, well, who cares? But that can tell me to trade less. If it's not a trending day where all names are doing the same thing and it's a nice clear uptrend or downtrend, I want to trade less or be more picky or conservative than on a day when it is clear and everybody is doing the same thing. So those little observations, when you're talking about trading on a daily basis, day in and day out for years, those become valuable as far as knowing when to pump the brakes or pump the gas. And right now, QQQ all morning is just Chop City. Meta. Meta, nice new high of the day. So that's a 5-minute uptrend there. A lot of space for a higher low, anything above 146.16. Held hourly supports from yesterday. 145.43 held by 20-some cents. And now it's all about the high of yesterday, 148.58, if hourly uptrend continuation is going to continue. So we could say Meta is a name that is trying to join Team Bull. We can say Apple is still in a 5-minute uptrend. Google never saw a new high of the day, and it actually just hit a new low of the day. Granted, the new low is not seeing any follow-through, but it's remaining weaker. Tesla's battling to try and hold its low of the day. 305.58 is key. If it holds, we got a 5-minute equilibrium to be watching for. And if it breaks, then the double top at the high of yesterday becomes more convincing. XLF, 5-minute bear flag confirmed, but no follow through. So watching for a 15-minute oversold bounce because that 15-minute RSI is real beat up. XLV is trying to continue its bounce. Still not very impressive, but it is off of the lows. Again, as long as Apple is in a 5-minute uptrend, it gives QQQ bulls hope. Have to see the 5-minute uptrend lost for a shift. All right, last 10 minutes here. I'm reading the YouTube chat room now, so if you all have any questions. I personally don't use market internals, but there's plenty of traders who do. Lamont and Jason, a couple of our chart guys team, use those market internals a lot. Nice short S-WID. You want to see that Atom BTC bear break if you are short Atom. Daily support coming into play there. Have I added to my physical metals position? Absolutely not. The dollar is in massive breakout mode. I'm not the kind of person that's just going to buy stuff with a big long-term time horizon just because it's cheap. It's also so much easier to click a couple buttons and instantly be in large positions versus physical. So I've got some physical exposure, but that's definitely not my forte as a trader. These digital numbers are nice and easy. BA trying to break the high of yesterday to keep this bounce going. Hourly support held. So yesterday hourly support held this morning. Bulls must break 147 for the daily bounce to keep going, but daily lower highs are consistent. Those have to break if anything's going to change. Lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. So anything under 153.45 is just another daily lower high. So make a simple statement. If we're setting daily lower highs, the bears control the daily trend. How do I set up my list in Fidelity to be able to tab through the charts? I don't really tab through the charts in Fidelity. I just change them as I go. I've got a 5-minute and an hourly chart laid out here, but then I just change the names individually as I'm looking at them. If Apple were to drop down here and break 154.13, that would confirm a 5-minute downtrend, and our lead bull captain would show our first signs of weakness on the morning. Do I ever play at the open? Yes, on top fish or bottom fish plays. If I've got a key support or resistance level right nearby that I'm going off of, that is a nice low risk, solid reward trade, then I'll take it. Otherwise, I will patiently wait for a later morning setup, whether it's a 5-minute or a 15-minute equilibrium shaping up that I can trade within. I mean, Tesla's 5-minute equilibrium is a good example where there was a bear entry and then just now there was a bull entry as far as having levels nearby. So Tesla is going to continue, potentially going to continue tightening up this 5-minute equilibrium for another, I mean, I need a little bit more bull follow through here, but if we get it, then we'll be looking for this to continue tightening up here and eventually break late morning. So again, it's just an example where there are patterns that present themselves after the morning rush for traders to then utilize. Yep, we do this every morning, live stream 5 days a week. We do midday live streams. We've got TA Q&A, which is more of a informal chat Zoom call. We've got end of the day live streams. When determining trend, how do I know to disregard small levels? It depends on what time frame I'm looking at. But if I'm looking at an hourly trend, the 2-minute trend is much less important. Every time frame has a level. Let's try it again. Every time frame has a time frame that is its most important. So for an hourly trend, the 5-minute trends are most important because the 5-minute trends give you the pivots on the hourly trend. Same thing with the 15-minute. A 15-minute trend change gives you the pivot on the 4-hour chart. And once you understand the relationship between how these time frames interact with each other, trading becomes a whole lot more clear. So yesterday, the bull trade that I made in the biotech sector was because I was looking for a SPY hourly high or low, and I recognized a SPY 5-minute bullish reversal inverse head and shoulders, which increased probabilities that the hourly high or low was shaping up. Time frame cheat sheet from Ched's interview is on my Twitter. It's a file, I can't post it in the chat room. Tweeted that probably a few days ago. Let's find that. Tweeted September 16th. And this is what I was just talking about with the relationship of which time frame is most important for the pivots on the longer term time frame. At TheChartGuys on Twitter and September 16th. So now Tesla bears are watching for a potential 5-minute lower high, anything under 308.69 to see if we're going to continue tightening up. Apple is keeping the 5-minute uptrend. We did not confirm a bear break, which is keeping the QQQ bulls hopeful for some bounce follow through. Meta is trying to join lead bull positioning. Bears are still playing defense. We had pretty much a triple top at the high of the day on QQQ at the moment. Netflix made a nice recovery. Tesla still tightening up. We should get a break there within 20 minutes, I would say. What gives the pivot on the 3-day time frame? I'm not sure. I don't use the 3-day chart really ever. I would say it depends. There's a difference between stocks and commodities. Stocks trade for 6.5 hours in a day. Crypto and commodities trade for 20, 24 hours of the day. So they're different. The 4-hour for cryptos, 24 hours, matters much more to me than the 4-hour for stocks. But I would say 4-hour for 3-day time frame is probably, well, if it's crypto, I do 12-hour for 3-day. If it's stocks, I do 4-hour for 3-day. Do I take partial position off if the trade starts to go against me? No. I will take partial positions off if the trade starts to go for me. But if it's going against, I mean, as soon as I make my entry and place my stop loss, I've already fully accepted that loss. I know exactly how much it's going to be. And I've accepted that risk for the trade. If I'm going to be wrong, I'm going to take this loss. Well, I take that back. There are times where if things significantly shift in the broader market or something along those lines, I will exit half of my trade at break even sometimes to just significantly reduce the risk and reward of that trade because a development changed. Usually not with the individual thing that I'm trading, but usually it's a broader market development shift. So, if I'm long and the trade's going for me and then all major sectors hit the low of the day at the same time, I exit half at break even to cut my risk in half. Just something like that would be an example where I would do it. I've already done a video on that time frame chart for a course rework that I'm working on. The entries and exits course, about halfway done redoing that. And that's my top priority right now, is finishing that. And if you've already purchased that course, you'll just get the new one. And it's way better. But I just don't have time right now to make that additional video. Perhaps someday, but I'm working on that course every spare moment I got. All right. Appreciate you all tuning in. Thanks for the likes and the attention. Check out TheChartGuys.com if you have interest. I mean, you're seeing the live stream, which is definitely one of our major benefits, but our Slack trading community is better than the live streams, in my opinion. They are nice complementary, going hand in hand, but I mean, the amount of knowledge and information from 1,000+ people in these rooms, I am learning lots over the years, just as much as other members are learning as well. Thanks for checking us out, and I will see you in the end of day video. Have a good rest of your day.